Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can see you fine. Where are you?
I hate I'm on a cruise. I
You're doing so
do
great, man. Thank you.
I do a lot of
Thank you.
development remotely, so
No, that's fantastic. Ned and I would love to do that.
Yeah.
it works.
At this time, Steve.
Uh, Steve, where in the world are you on the cruise right now?
Southern Caribbean.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
It
yeah,
it it really is excellent because my team does a great job of running the operations for Rent Solutions.
yeah,
Gives me the freedom to kind of work when and where I need to,
yeah,
but I'm doing a huge amount of programming right now, and it's really kind of hardcore preparing for. We have some launches in October,
yeah.
so it helps. I mean, they have to swim out to interrupt me, so
That's good.
it
You know,
works.
I'll tell you. My dad always said, he's like, he said, I work 80 hours a week. I just choose which 80 hours I work. And it's just a really fascinating way to think about not time freedom but focus. He said everyone thinks it's time freedom, but he's like, no, I just have figured out biologically how I focus better, where I focus better, how I can get more output done.
Yes.
And it's a really good reframe for me. He's like, hey, you're going to end up with the same amount of output. It just, you have to engineer how you get that output, right?
Yeah. Well,
uh,
it works because there's so many areas on the ship that I can, if I'm in the mood to look at a nice sunset, I can go there. I mean, really, it works out well. So,
Awesome. Well, we won't keep you long. First off, thank you for spending some time together. Ned and Neil and I were brainstorming. Given that I have a few years in this space on who you want to sell into, and I was hoping the structure would be okay with you. I have a few questions which I'd love to kind of
sure.
throw at you and get your vision for it, and then if Ned or I have any more, we'll take the notes and then compile them so that we can kind of present them back. That was the broader idea. Ned, does that sounds like a good plan for what we discussed, right?
Yeah, that's great, Sean.
Okay, awesome. Steve, thank you also for sending the deck and the info. I watched them all. My opening kind of question is, it would be really helpful if you could help me understand,
Okay.
not in a pitch kind of way, but it, I think in the notes that you shared before, you're like, hey, could the software platform be a recruiting vehicle or an opportunity for large brokerages to use it as a kind of recruiting, growth, revenue generating platform? And I probably was just not seeing the dotted lines getting there. And so if you could maybe share how that works or how you were thinking about it, I could come up with, if I were real, because I designed the partnership program, I could tell you like what they're looking for if I could know like how you're trying to approach it.
Yeah. Well, originally, about 20 years ago, I had spent time in Keller Williams, and we were basically taking our leasing, rental, and property management solutions, and the focus was how do you make it benefit a real estate company that does not want to do leasing and property management, basically. So you're able to generate. KW's big focus was built around building your database. So, in effect, if you ever look, actually, if you have an opportunity, there's a 2017 Gary Keller's vision speech where he talks about property management, and suddenly he has an epiphany of, hey, this is the golden ticket here, because the people that I do business with on a daily basis are the very sort of people that he wants. So, if you think in terms of building a database, a third of the households are renters, and they're largely untapped, because if you look at a traditional real estate model, you are doing FSBOs, you're doing the people in your database are people that have already bought a home typically. The renters are not as easy to target. Well, we know their lease end date. We know, when they moved in, their credit score. We can put them into a program, to help improve their credit. So you've got first-time home buyer programs. You have all of those things, and those people are moving every 2 years. But in addition to, let's say, renters becoming buyers, you also have all of our owners, and our owners are more prone to sell quickly
I get it.
than others. So, we tap all of these other traffic sources, and the whole focus is how can you make those available to the real estate professionals. So, we put in a platform and infrastructure available to do that. But we also take it further in that we say, well, what are those real estate agents doing already? I mentioned FSBOs. If you got a FSBO and you're a typical real estate agent that is just maybe you're cold calling or calling some of those circles of influence. A lot of the people that maybe start to be underwater, or maybe the time isn't right for selling, you still, instead of saying, no, I can't help you, maybe you can find another way to start that relationship and still put them into your database. You also can differentiate yourself as an agent, that you're really a consultant. You're able to provide extra solutions. So we key in on, basically I took all of their training platform, integrated it in, and said, what are they teaching people to do? Scripts and dialogues. You take that and now give them additional scripts and dialogues that can only be utilized if you have, let's just say, a leasing or a property management partner to be able to work with. But if you're going to do something like that, if you're going to dare to do any type of referral back and forth, you have to know that the other party is going to do a great job. So we put the transparency in there. Otherwise, people just won't do it. You're putting your faith in that person. So there's a huge amount of transparency built into the system. So I could talk for a very long time.
This is great. I mean, I get it. I totally makes sense. I assumed that's what it was, and I see the value in a time-activated lead source that the average agents or teams do not have access to. Time-activated lead source meaning lease end dates, etc., which are very clear. Not only do you know what the lease amounts are, but you also know when the lease is ending, so you can map to what they can actually buy. That data is almost non-available to most agents to actually, or brokerages to help them. And then you have, on the other hand, the owners themselves. Based on how those values fluctuate, there is potential to unlock equity and do other things. So there's both the folks that are in the property management database can be unlocked in a lot of ways. So I totally understand that. So my question for you is, are these, I'm assuming all of these are nationwide, is that correct?
They are. So what we have is in October we have 2 different conferences. One is Appfolio, which is a public company. All right. Sure. And then we also have NARPM, National Association of Real Property Managers. That conference is going on in Orlando. So we're going to be at both conferences. I'm using that time to talk with other property management companies, and we did this at NARPM for broker owner in April. And I've been doing this a long time, so we know a lot of people. But I also have other colleagues that are already committed in on our platform that are ready to participate. So they are much more outgoing than I am. So they're a really good complementary fit for me. And they're talking to everybody. So what we did is the first 2 days are more lining up and really evaluating, because we're not really, you don't have a difficult time at all getting people's interest and getting people to want to do it, because our platform replaces currently, the idea was always anything that you do that is not done by Appfolio, the property management accounting platform, everything else we want to do. So we replace, let's say, 7 different systems that most property management companies are using in some way. Tenant Turner, workflow automation, all those sort of things that they're already paying money for. Now they can get a single platform that's better in each case, and they can easily migrate over to us. So getting the interest is easy, but we really want to make sure that we find a good fit. You get somebody into there because we're really targeting a little bit more of no more than 2 to 3 per market, so that you create a different type of community, a different type of collaboration where people can truly, really add value, exchange ideas without the risk of it going and competing against you quite quickly. So our realtor program is really hardcore.
Do you have an existing realtor program right now?
Oh yeah. So that's all launching with it. So we have a grow platform that is the most significant platform out. On all of our stuff, a lot of the other stuff is blocking and tackling. You know what I mean? Things you got to do. Our industry has very few vendors that are even in the true marketing space. So somebody like a Rent Scale or something like that. But if you actually look at them and line it up, you're talking really apples and oranges. Very different. You have an MLM type of structure, profit sharing, right? Revenue share, correct? And that is different than, let's say, a Coldwell Banker. And it really helps you out in your recruiting. You can get some hardcore social media influencers that their whole focus is on recruiting. So we database those. I don't want to get too depth on that.
I understand.
Yes. So we do those sort of things. That's really where we excel. And
Got it.
that's why you can get anybody on board. So our third day is a demo after we've filtered the people of interest. And we did that at the show, and it really worked well.
I understand. So let's say, let's say we were having a conversation with Real or EXP or LPT, they're the 3 largest growing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what is kind of like the pitch to them is what I'm trying to figure out, which is it hey, we want to have partnerships with large teams in each of your markets that can serve these clients well, so that we can hand them time-sensitive endorsed leads to these teams, and then we share in referral-based economics. Is that the model that you're looking for?
So normally if I give somebody an exposure to what we do, with the mindset that I'm talking to somebody in the real estate industry, so I can talk about leasing all day long and they don't care unless it relates to them. When I line that up, they can see the value or see the interest, but then it's, okay, how do you start really aligning your resources? How do you start really making the most out of your relationship? And that's where, I belong to different mastermind groups. One mastermind group's got some of about 200 of the top property management companies, owners, operators in there. And if you actually look, the majority of people don't
Which
share.
one is it?
Crane.
Okay, got it.
Good, very good group.
Yeah.
So the majority of people don't share some of their best stuff. I've known a lot of the people in it for a long time, and we talk and we do it independently. But some of the best stuff, you don't want it to be out there in a podcast and showing up on your doorstep. With a little bit better information, you can align what you're doing pretty easily. So I am aligned heavily with Appfolio. Appfolio, I've got a two-way API. I have good, typically 30 to 90 day, let's say, head start on what's out there. So Appfolio's doing their conference in October. We've already been given a heads up, not the gory details, but we have a heads up of what they're launching, what they're introducing. That helps. It helps me do it, but I also have alliances or relationships with key developers inside of there, along with some key leadership players. Careful to stay away from, let's say, Sharran. I didn't know who you were, by the way. Had no idea. Because I tend to stay away from the top executives. So when you're with Real, that's not who I'm looking at. I'm looking at somebody who could influence maybe you or give me other information, that's who I'm hanging with at the portfolio level. So these are good leaders that are in charge of projects. That helps me do what I want to do and align resources. So,
Got it.
so now it is custom built for Appfolio. If you're Rentvine, let's just say another up and comer, the door is basically shut down for them.
Got it. So is the intention for you to, like, what would be interesting to you is, for example, take a real or EXP or an LPT. I know all their leaders, and they're all building very different systems. With the, what would be interesting to you would be to say connect with the CTO to like plug into their system. What would be the most interesting thing for you?
CTO is actually quite good.
Okay.
Because suddenly we talk shop. So I'll do better with a detail person, a technical person, and I would have, let's say, another colleague or somebody who is maybe a little bit more sales oriented, but I don't want to say it like that because I
understand.
I move away from that sort of person. It's just that they're a little more passionate about telling a story or those types of things. It has to be very sincere. But normally, if it's the two of us, and I have 3 or 4 guys that long-standing relationship with that can serve in that capacity, that's the best. But the other party is typically somebody that's a little bit more detail that wants to know that. Then it's just you can't shut us up. You know what I mean?
No, that's super helpful. So,
So I could hang with Ned, just based on talking to him a little bit. Where he's been, I could hang with him.
Ned's a stud.
And
Ned's
we
a
could
stud.
do some stuff, you know what I mean? We could make some things happen. So it's sort of like that. And then by starting to get to know the individuals, you can really do some crazy things.
Yeah. So good takeaway for me. Takeaway number 1 is I can see some where the relationships get patched in the organization. So that's very helpful. Maybe you could just I'm trying to figure out a business case where, so let's say, like, just fast forward, say you are able to talk to, like, we're able to talk to the CTO of Real, we're able to get some platform integration, we're able to get some API opens up, data opens up, etc., able to get some pilot teams to work with. Well, in an ideal world, what does that turn into? Is this from a business model perspective, like, what does that relationship turn into? Is it the agent teams in key markets get access to kind of time-based information and it generates leads for them, and so they're able to use that leads to either grow team-based transaction and use that as a lead source to recruit? Like, what
Yes.
are you envisioning?
Oh, yeah. So recruiting is much different. And especially if you think, a lot of these things are really time sensitive because all the stuff going on in the class action lawsuits and just the disruption in the industry leads to, people start looking and saying, what do I do? If you are a newer agent, typically you're not making any money. So, I mean, the stats are pretty brutal when you really look at realtors as a whole. Yeah, I can actually plug them in as a showing agent, somebody who can make money showing properties in our system, Uber-like, okay?
Yeah,
that's what we've got. But they still stay as a real brokerage agent. So that's very different. Normally, you don't have that type of opportunity. And the fact that the class action lawsuits have said, hey, we don't want you publicizing how much money you're going to make. Yeah, but I could actually do some things that they can get access to see how much we're offering, to see some of that inside information. So you create more or less a VIP status that you can just continue to roll out more and more. And it becomes easy because I've got a platform. So if you were to think in actually, are you guys familiar with Russell Brunson and his stuff? ClickFunnels?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
They came out with an offer lab. And I was actually out there when he announced it. It came out with offer lab. Very similar to my structure. It allows you to plug into any different revenue streams. So we have a huge training platform. So school-like, actually. School's one of the models that I looked at. One of the Thinkific bunch. It's got gamification. It's got those sort of things built in there, so you can help somebody kind of get to that point, but you can teach somebody how to make more money. You can plug into the profit centers, and the entire transaction model is done inside of our platform. So if Ned's a real estate agent and he wants to refer business back and forth, the how-to, the mechanics of it, sometimes trip you up. It needs to be easy. It needs to be seamless. It needs to be so simple that I don't have to tell them how it works. That's our approach. And that's sort of OfferLab. So I really dig in on studying other models, other places to gather ideas. So, hey, if you just think of OfferLab, I've been inside out, all over it, love it. But I have my platform, because my platform needs to have AI built into it. My platform needs to have the transaction management and the visibility for us. So let's just take on our end the leasing property management. When somebody is actually doing the job, it needs to report in real time to the people that need to know. If I'm helping your client, your referral, I don't want to have to update you. The moment you have to call me, that's a problem. So those transactions, that sort of real-time information can happen within my platform, can't really happen in an OfferLab. It's just set up very much the end result.
Got it. Understood. So if the I'm thinking about how to think through like the best way to one, either make an introduction, or two, create, work with Ned to create a framework that is easy for us to go to market to have all these conversations, right? Which I think was the end goal. What I am in the agent grow model, I think that you talked about briefly, is that is that applicable to, like, say, any agent that can become a part of it?
Yes, absolutely.
So what did they get in return for being what is the economic, how does the business model work for that?
So we have points and rewards and commissions. So, all right, I'm on a cruise. They're big on rewards. Hey, the more I play, the more I get. So those sort of things are kind of built in, gamification, leaderboards. That's all wired into it. And I guess to better answer your question on how it might happen, ideally, let's just say you've got your real president hat on, and Ned's on your team, and CTO, that type of relevant background. If I'm hanging with him, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out how to, I'll learn more about you, he'll learn more about me. We will then figure out how to best communicate that to you, which would have a tenth of the time or patience to listen to all the details, because this thing is pretty hardcore. There's a lot to it, and information overload. Stop telling, stop selling, stop whatever. Shut up. Right?
No. I by the way, I grew up as a software engineer, and I'm a coder by heart, so I'm very appreciative of it.
I'm an engineer, so that's me.
I'm trying to figure out, I think that the two things are really helpful. One, where in the organization that you want to have a conversation with and kind of build a partnership with, that's super helpful. The second, I'm just trying to figure out what are the opportunities from a business model perspective. And it doesn't have to be built out. I'm just trying to figure out what the opportunities are. So, because that will allow me, because there's probably knowing these large companies,
yes.
The technical folks have to make as you understand, have to make like a deep business case. And so what I'm trying to figure out is, can I just help make the business case for them?
Yes.
So that
I got you.
Yeah.
Recruiting and retention, by far the biggest. So if I'm talking to any real estate company, recruiting and retention, if I've got a good deliverable way to help them recruit and retain, and especially something that is quite unique to them that maybe nobody else can offer, that's big. Because now you plug that into an influencer, let's say, that is doing nothing more, that has the audience already, and you start to scale quite quickly. And your people, let's say, that are at a office level or something like that, they're doing more of maybe confirming or just accepting the people coming in because the people have heard about it. So that becomes easy. But it's also, once you get them, it's much more revenue per person. And a typical real estate agent, just when they're starting out especially, they have a very difficult time ramping up, making money the first year or two. This one, I can keep and retain my licensed agents because they're all licensed because they make money day one.
Yeah.
And they're not putting out any money. So
Yeah.
it's quite different. I also have this event recruiting training arm of what we're doing that brings people in. So a facility like mine, we're moving into our new facility in late October. It has a large, you know what, it's not too different than acquisition.com. Okay, you've got people you're bringing in. We do that. Okay, so we've got a big training center, but if I want to do business with somebody, I give them a reason to come in and see my office. And they will instantly know we are different. So those sort of things, if you align with a real estate company, those are some of the biggest. Recruiting, retention. If I can help Ned sell more without spending any more money, if I can help Ned make additional revenue that he couldn't any other way without leaving his job, without leaving his brokerage. If I could help Ned get passive income and really scale that up, that's something. And the passive income is much easier because the passive income actually comes from a lot of your clients. So there's just opportunities that are there. And if you have a dialogue with somebody,
are you talking about the passive income as a piece of, if they brought a tenant in, a piece of the rent paid? Is that what the passive income are you talking
it's
about?
not the rent, but it is, you're able to get leasing commissions and just transactions, sales commissions. It's all, when you think it's sort of transaction oriented, any transaction happening, but we just broaden the transactions.
Understood.
And they come more frequently.
Yeah. So, and from the recruiting side, the idea here is, hey Ned, you should come and join our team at Real because we have these opportunities that you can deploy in day one without putting in any extra dollars. That's
Correct.
the pitch, right?
Yes. And
got it.
And that those pitches or presentations or the methods that you're using to find buyers and sellers, we're going to make them a lot more effective. We're going to give you additional tools and scripts and options that you can use that'll take your closing rate and double it, because you're just going to have more at bats, or you're going to be able to offer them a wide array of options instead of just this, which is just like everybody else.
Got it. Okay. Very helpful. Ned, I think I have a good sense of just data points from Steve that I can help think through with you. And then we could probably sketch out a couple of frameworks to see how we can message and position this. And if that also means that there's some opportunities based on what the final product we come up with that I can help make some intros to make that easier, I'm happy to do that.
That'd be great.
Cool.
What do you think,
Awesome.
Ned?
I think this is great. Yeah, I think this has been super helpful, Steve. Appreciate all the extra insight. And then I think we're on path. And then we'll just put some frameworks together. And then on Monday, when you get back from the cruise and get to Vegas, we'll have some fun. I'm excited.
Okay.
Awesome.
That sounds good.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, you got
Appreciate
it.
it. Always,
All right.
Steve.
All right, bye.
See you, brother.
See you, Ned.